for this final session, our aim is to give you the very most up-to-date market report research to not just talk about what is, but also where the puck is going. And that's our goal today. And so I am so excited to introduce Brian Brown, who is president of Go-to-Market Partners, who is going to give us the Market Insight Report to show us where that puck is going. Put your hands together, Brian. For Brian. Put your hands together, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Amy. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. And I've lived in Utah for about 4 years, so love to get to know more of you, and spent a lot of time back east. Have built a few different companies, built one of the first marketing automation companies back in 2000. So if you're familiar with like HubSpot and Marketo and all those things, I created a company called V-Trends way back a long time ago, and had a fun run there. And then went on to build a company called Silver Pop, which you may know was digital marketing and behavioral marketing, and then got acquired by IBM and ran some go-to-market functions for IBM, and that was like being on a planet, and I didn't like it so much. I like a little bit smaller where you can kind of control it. And then went and jumped into a company called Terminus at $2 million in revenue. So if anyone familiar with Terminus, account-based marketing yeah. So built Terminus from 2 to about 50 million, and then wrote this book up here. And I've got a bunch of copies, so if you want a free book after we done, you can come up and grab one. But Sangram was co-founder of Terminus, and while we were at Terminus, we're helping people think about how to go to market and ABM, but we realized that ABM or any sales play or any marketing play, it's only as good as the go-to-market strategy of the company, right? And a lot of times CEOs get so frustrated because they've told everyone what the plan is and the strategy, but the teams can't figure out how to connect that high-level vision to execution. And so we went on a journey to write a book because we're like, there's no definition for go-to-market. Like, what is go-to-market? It's so vast. And who owns go-to-market? Can sales own it? Can marketing? Like, these are complex things. So we did a ton of research. We wrote this book a few years back. It did really well, and it prompted us, instead of building another software company, to start GTM Partners with a mission to help all B2B companies transform the way they go to market. And so I'm here to share a few stats and things with you guys, and maybe we'll make it interactive for the little time we have. But also, thanks to Fullcast, we've done a lot of things with Amy and her team over the years, done research, done events together, so I appreciate the opportunity. So let's just think about these 3 questions for a second. Like, do you have you been thinking about these, right? Why do some companies just, like, you can have 2 companies in the same market, same funding, same product, right? Same buyers, but like one kills it and one doesn't, right? Why do some scale and some not? This middle question, which is, companies make it to product market fit, which you probably know what that means, but we'll define it in a minute. Why do they get stuck at product market fit? How many companies have you either worked at or know of or are at that get to 30 or 50 or 90 million, and then they just sort of get stuck, and there's no outcome, and it's like they're walking dead, right? And it's frustrating to be in those moments. And, is growth a black box? Like, is it secret? Like, the secret to growth, is it like mysterious, or could we actually have a system that could allow more companies to be successful? So let's take a quick second and define go-to-market. Who wants to take a shot at defining go-to-market? What do you think go-to-market means? Some brave soul is waiting to answer this question. You look brave. What does go-to-market mean to you?
It's basically like just deciding when and where and how to launch, price, place a product.
Oh, that's awesome. When, where, how. Okay, what teams are in go-to-market? Sales and marketing. Anyone want to add anything to that? CS, product. Yes, yes, yes. If you went back 10, 15 years, who was go-to-market? Sales or marketing, depending on who was sort of stronger, right? Like who won the arm wrestling match. So this is our definition after hundreds and hundreds of interviews. top CEOs from multi-billion-dollar companies to startups. This is the definition we created. And what we love about it is in this definition, we depart from all the sort of misidentifications of go-to-market. Like, go-to-market is what we did at our offsite. We had a big strategy meeting to decide our go-to-market, right? You can't actually solve go-to-market that quickly. Go-to-market is an ongoing transformative process. Like, you actually have to keep changing the way you go to market. So what works for 1 year will suddenly stop working in year 2. Why? Because your company changed, the market changed, the buyer's needs changed, your product evolved, you acquired somebody, the buyers, like, they think differently. Something is always changing. So go-to-market has to be really fluid. But most important thing I want you to remember from this slide is go-to-market is a process, okay? And for it to work, we have to have all the go-to-market orgs involved, which includes customer success, not just marketing and sales, and product, and RevOps, right? These are all the people that need to be part of this journey. Well, here's a few of our stats. We do this every year. We benchmark about 500 companies, and these are the trouble spots. But basically, look at these stats for a second. Do these feel familiar to you? Are you guys struggling with some of these things? Maybe it's getting a little bit better. We have seen some signal that things are getting a little bit better, but they're still troubling. Most companies can't create enough pipeline. They cannot fill the top of the funnel and bring it through at all, just with the pace they're supposed to grow their companies. So we see that over and over. Half of companies say their sales cycles are still longer than they were if you go back before COVID. Like, it's just slower and slower. Buyers are taking longer. CFOs are more, pushing back on purchases. But worse, win rates are down, deal sizes are down, reps aren't hitting quota. Why do we have so many reps that don't hit quota? Right? Well, they need full cast, and they would fix it, right? So, but these are problems. But most importantly, companies don't hit revenue. They have to reforecast again. And it's messy, right? So when we asked these leaders, hey, like, why is this happening in your company? Why is revenue down? We thought we would hear things like, well, we don't have enough the funding we needed, or, our competitor, or the market, or the economy, right? And in B2B, the answer really was, we don't have clarity. Inside the company, we lack the clarity to actually enact our go-to-market. Sales has these 3 ideas. Marketing has these other 2 ideas. Product is over here thinking that the path looks like this. And the departments change so frequently that they just stay sort of in misalignment. So a quick story. Were any of you guys at our Go-to-Market Made Simple Roadshow about 1.5 years ago? And I think it was over at the university. Yeah? Cool. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I told this story, but you probably forgot by now. But if you know the answer, you can wait. So Steve Jobs comes back into Apple, right? 1997, he comes back into Apple. They have 350 products, $7 billion in revenue. Like, okay, they're a huge company. And he says, wow, we are so unfocused. And he came in and he said, we're going to get this thing just really tight. How many products do you think he got rid of? Or how many do you think he ended with? What's that? 20s, 50, 4? Well, the answer is 10. And he took, with 10 products, they got really focused. So think about all the teams that were working on stuff that no longer was relevant. Talk about transformation. How hard would it be to get your company to make that much change, to go from 400 or 350 to 10? But it actually worked because they scaled the company and obviously where they are today. So when we think about lack of clarity, when we think about where, executives are unfocused, we're always paying the optionality tax. Okay, the optionality tax is, and especially for startups, the optionality tax is because you could grow so many ways, you're afraid to pick one. So you keep them all open in hopes that the one will sort of magically pop out. But what do you do when you're keeping them all open? You're paying a tax. Every product roadmap, every customer playbook, every sales strategy, everything is now like trying to deal with all the possible things we could be doing in market. So that's why we have to get focused. And to align the teams, right, we have to actually get out of siloed thinking. So when companies said we're misaligned, and we said, well, why are you misaligned? They said it's because we operate in silos. And the once a week executive meeting is not enough to fix siloed departments. No matter how much we believe it, or we want to believe it will fix it, it won't. We actually need a process, an operating system to fix it. So who's familiar with product market fit? Yeah? Who's familiar with platform market fit? Some of you, yeah. So problem market fit is actually where we start. Okay, and this is obviously startups start in problem market fit, but guess who else has problem market fit? Billion-dollar companies. Every time they enter a new geo, launch a new product, go into a new segment, they're taking that part of their business and it's back at the beginning, right? And in problem market fit, what we're trying to do is survive. Like, can we just stay alive long enough to get this thing to success? And then we finally find a group of buyers who love what we do, and we can sell to them over and over again, and now we're in product market fit. And in product market fit, we're trying to figure out, like, how do we actually put in systems and processes to scale our business, right? And unfortunately, 80% of companies never get out of product market fit. And so when you think of a company that 10 years ago or 5 years ago, you're like, they were the coolest company, but where are they right now? They're alive, but they're just sort of like hanging on, okay? So we don't want to get stuck there. And platform market fit means we can sell more revenue through our customers than through new acquisition. Okay, that's when you know you're in platform market fit. And that's where companies become enduring. So if we kind of like map this out a little bit, in problem market fit, we're in search for the ideal customers. What's the ideal solution? We could do lots of things for lots of buyers, but who's the best? Once we find that, we start to enter the product market fit. Now we want to sell the same thing in the same way to the same buyer, right? Now, many of you probably work at companies that are in product market fit, but if you're unfocused, you're not efficiently growing because you're still selling around all the edges. So you didn't lean into where you have product market fit. You're still doing the 10 other things, and there's a lot of complexity in your organization. So as soon as you get focused, like Steve Jobs did, then the whole company rallies around the point of product market fit. And that's where you can truly scale, and then you transform into platform market fit, where the majority of your revenue comes from the existing customers. You can make more money retaining, expanding, selling more to your existing customers than you ever possibly could with new acquisition. Okay, so that's where we want to take companies. That's where we want to go. So to do that, we have 8 questions that came through our research. Okay, and I'm just going to speed through this. This will be really fast. But this is the go-to-market operating system, okay? And so take a look at the questions, okay? Is there any question that sticks out to you, like would be really helpful if your company could answer that question? Which question kind of would you think would be most impactful for you? Who wants to share?
How do you give your team clarity, alignment, and trust?
Okay, how do we bring clarity, alignment, and trust to our team? Great one. What would happen if you could solve that question in your company?
Oh, miracle.
Yeah, right? Seriously, right? Okay, what other question? What does it mean when I say, where can you grow the most? Why would we ask that question? Why do we want to know that question? Yeah, finding unmet needs, good opportunities. But why did we put the most? Yeah, the optionality tax. Because it's true, you probably, if you really think about your business for a moment, you could probably grow over here, up, down, this way, new packaging, right? New products, like new buyers. There's probably so many ways you could grow a company. And that's the problem, right? So we want to say the most. Which products create the highest customer value? How many of you have maybe more products than are doing you value? Right? I'm a product guy. I built products for years. There's a lot of stuff you build, and you're like, if you really thought about it, you'd be like, you know what? Let's get rid of that piece. Like, it doesn't make sense for the new buyers we sell to. So how could we really lean in on that? Well, all of these 8 questions really help companies align. And the point of this slide is if you want to align your organization around a go-to-market, these are the 8 questions. Because if you had sales, marketing, CS, product, the CEO, the CFO, all in a room, and they worked through these questions, think of the alignment that would happen. Think of the efficiency of marketing spend, right? Think of like how much better sales would be tied to marketing. And when CS gets the new customer to onboard them, they'd be like, this is great, a customer we can actually help, right? Have you ever had that? Like sales brings in the customers, they're ringing the gong, everyone's celebrating because they hit the number, and then CS is like, we don't do that. Like, I've never seen this kind of customer. I've never heard of that product. Like, you know, so we want everyone aligned. So the operating system is built to do that. Now, we just put out some new research. We did some of the research included some of the customers from Fullcast. So thank you, Amy and team, for that. It was super awesome. But what we really want to do is say, like, how are we going to think about go-to-market teams in the future? Like, the way we've been hiring and building teams, marketing, sales, CS, product, like, we have an old model, and we need a new model. And a lot of that sits in, like, when you think of territory planning and compensation design or management, right? And so the research, we framed it into these four areas. We've made this research available to all of you complimentary through Fullcast. So I don't know if it'll be if you can email them the link or whatever. So you don't have to pay for it. So you can just get access. So thank you, Fullcast. But we really want to say, like, what would it take to unify go-to-market planning? The biggest thing I want you to remember with the research, and you can get more when you look into it, but the way we've been going at this for years is really broken. Because think about it. The CFO has a number, and then they start sort of like allocating out to the departments, and then the departments all go into their rooms and their offices, and they all think about what they're going to do to hit their portion of the plan. Why aren't they all doing it together? Why aren't we together figuring out, well, if that's the number, if that's what we got to do, how much role comes in marketing, or what kinds of marketing things do we need to do? Which ICP is going to help us get that number? Okay, how many reps do we need for that ICP? But instead, we're just sort of blanket mathing our way into this model. And this is honestly where, you know, like the stuff that you guys are doing or EPSTA is doing, this is like where it starts to become rigorous and some automation and technology to it. So we think that's really important. But I'll leave you with this on this slide. If product is given budget, right, what are they going to do? They're going to say, well, we need to hire more people because we can't get the bugs fixed fast enough. We can't, the roadmap, we're so far away. We need to hire more people, more engineers, so we can get this roadmap done. But what if the roadmap has things on it that aren't valuable to the company, but no one has gone through the process to recognize that, or to recognize that some of the bugs, yeah, we could fix them, but they're for a market we shouldn't be serving. They're for a customer that doesn't have high lifetime value or churns a lot. Like, why spend time in those areas? So we really need all the groups, or CS will think in terms of, like, you know, cost per client. So a lot of, you know, if we think about a CFO or a COO, a lot of times they'll say, well, we have this many customers, this is the revenue per customer, therefore we think our model will allow a CSM to have 30 customers, or 60 customers, or 200 customers, or 10 customers, depending on the model of support that you need and the price points. But, like, instead, shouldn't we be thinking about, like, what is the revenue potential of every CSM? Right? Like, if we hired a new CSM, could we actually build a system where every time we hired them, it would actually generate more revenue, right? Instead of as a cost center. So this is some of the stuff we tackled in the report. It's super valuable. Planning is right around the corner. If you haven't already started it, like September, October, November, you're going to be in planning motion. So maybe you have an opportunity to kind of reset how your company thinks about planning, and think about org design and compensation. We want compensation to be aligned so that teams are incented to serve the ideal fit customer, right? How many times do we close a deal and celebrate and not recognize that the deal we just won is the cohort of customers who have the highest churn, right? We were working with a company one time, and they were like, we're so excited about this play. I'm like, tell me about the play. They're like, here's the go-to-market motion. It's an outbound play with a little bit of partner-led. I'm like, okay, cool. What's the product? They're like, this is the product. Okay, that's cool. What's the price point? They're like, it's $12,000. I'm like, okay, what's the velocity? Oh, it's about 60 days. Okay, and so like, this sounds good, right? And I'm like, yeah. What are your teams normally doing? Oh, normally we do 200K deals that take like a year. And I'm like, is that the majority of your revenue? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, this is a very different play. How are you going to be successful in this play? And they're like, well, the reps are tired of these 2-year deals. It takes so long. They like this velocity stuff. I'm like, okay, well, what is the NRR of that cohort of buyer? If you went back in time and looked at those kind of companies you sold to, come back and tell me the NRR, net revenue retention. Basically, after those people leave and churn, how many stay and buy more products, and can you get over to 100% NRR? Well, they brought it back and it was 68% NRR. So this is a losing, you will never even pay back the commission, right? And they had never seen it. They were about to build a whole sales play and invest in a team to go down that path, right? So this is why we want to think holistically about go-to-market. So I'm going to end with any questions and a free gift. So before we give you the free gift, any questions? Any questions about go-to-market? What insight or what stood out to you in the conversation?
Pipelines. Everybody needs more pipelines.
Everyone wants more pipeline, always. Do we need more pipeline, or do we just need better revenue at bats, right? We need better revenue, not more potential. We need, revenue that will last, that will have lifetime value. And yeah.
Quick question. Could you touch upon how do you deal with go-to-market in an M&A environment? So in other words, you go to market, then you merge, or you acquire 3, 4, 5 months later, then
Yeah.
you do it again. Look at Fullcast.
Yeah.
How do you...
Every single time there is a major event like that, you need to go back through the 8 questions with the broader leadership team that's now part of the new leadership of that go-to-market. You need to go back through it and answer the questions. And you might not always have the answers, but you at least know where the risks are. Hey, we don't have a good answer for which product is going to be our future now that we have, we've merged together. Like I've done that multiple times. Acquired multiple companies, been acquired, and at the beginning you're like, oh, okay, it just makes sense. But when you get into it, the teams don't understand how to enact this amazing merger and acquisition. So we have to answer these questions so that the teams understand how to prioritize. Yes?
Is there a play on words on the title? You tell me that I have to answer 8 questions, but the book says the 4 questions go to.
Oh gosh. You are like really, you are so smart. Okay. So this book will transform the way leadership teams think about how they're building their companies. Okay? The operating system came after the book. So this is for your CEO and exec team and everyone to you should read it and then be like, hey, you need to read this. It'll fix some of their broken patterns, right? It'll help them realize, oh, shoot, I have been missing that. CEOs love this book. We get rave reviews from it.
My future CEO will take one.
There you go. So the operating system, now that they've been convicted that there's a better way to build their company, they're like, okay, how do I do this now? How do I bring this level of change? And that's where the operating system sits in. So, good question. Yeah?
You mentioned, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but sales is willing to sell stuff that doesn't turn a profit.
Yes.
Right? So, who in a well-oiled machine company is responsible for making sure that sales doesn't sell stuff that doesn't turn a profit?
Okay, so who owns go-to-market?
Depends on the company. CEOs.
I mean, the true answer is only the CEO, because who else can tell sales that we're not going to spend more money, we're going to put it over here? Who else can say we're going to acquire a company or we're going to go to Europe, right? Marketing can't do it, sales can't do it. So the CEO ultimately has to take responsibility for the strategic answer of these questions and bringing the exec team together. And the executive go-to-market leadership group should all be accountable for that question of why are we allowing sales. But most companies don't know it's happening because they just treat all the deals as one big thing. They're not saying, well, look, those 10 deals in that kind of segment over here versus these ones with this ICP. And so that's why when we do advisory work, the first question we answer is where can we grow the most? Because when you answer that question, it will literally show you all of the deals in pipeline that are terrible. And it's like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I've been chasing that deal for 6 months or a year. Now I can see why I shouldn't be chasing it and why they're not responding. Because we're not a good fit for them. And even if we force them in, they're gonna leave quickly, right? Well, the CRO should be thinking about it, but they probably don't pay attention or have the data unless they have a really strong RevOps function because this is data that, like if you think about NRR, you have to have the full lifetime of data, right? And a lot of times sales, like a sales ops person is not, they're focused on the pipeline, the funnel. They're not thinking about what happens in year 3 or year 2, right? And so you need the team aligned. All right, well, I need to wrap up, but the gift, so one, you get the report. If you want to scan this code, Fullcast has gifted you a $500 go-to-market transformation course. It's about an hour and a half of content. Plus there's this really amazing documentary that you can watch that we created with like Jeffrey Moore and just like CEOs of like every go-to-market SaaS company that's big and cool and impressive. So you'll like that too. But that's a side note. So take the QR code, dive in, and thank you very much. And come grab a book if you would like.
Thank you so much, Brian. We've been working with go-to-market partners for several years, and they are the best of the best. They're wonderful.